we head to Jersey, where the weather was gross, but the quarterback play from your boy Mike White. I mean, that first half was really incredible. The way he played, I think it was the most passing yards in the first half by a Jets quarterback since '06. Let's go there and talk about the spark he provided for the Jets in the win.
I mean, look, they averaged 7 yards per play. I mean, just for the game, they averaged 7 yards per play, and the game was over at the half. They were 58% on third down in the game. And so what happened is, and I think for Jet fans you have to feel good about is the fact that you were able to run the ball. You got a big play running by Johnson, touchdown. And then this guy only had 6 incomplete passes the whole day. So he was efficient when he threw the football. So, at the end of the day, you walk off the field, you got 54 rushes and completion with only 6 incompletions, and you averaged almost 5 yards a carry running the football. And once the Bears got through their offense where they kind of showed what they were going to do with Simeon, who got hurt in pregame warm-up and wasn't going to play, but then he was going to play, this is the problem when you have a quarterback that runs a 6-back offense like Justin Fields, and then the backup is a traditional quarterback. Like you can't change offenses, and that offensive line got exposed, and then problems show up. And the longer the game went, the Jets were able to use their dominance defensively to take it over. So credit to them. I think White just comes in there and executed the offense. And look, the Bears they're not a great team, and when they lose their one player who can make an explosive play, it became painful.
It's a 31-10 winner, but you just talk about a player a la what Heineke's done with Washington. Look, White completed passes to 10 different receivers, and you just have to call out the elephant. I mean, these players did not like Wilson. Wilson threw the defense under the bus, and there's a spark there. There's a spark.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny in the Carolina game yesterday. You probably weren't watching because it was over. There was a moment where you almost felt like they were going to bench Russ. It was 24-3. There was a lot of time in the fourth quarter. But, it would have been interesting to see if Ripien went in and what happened. I mean, this is the case where – the first drive of the game, the Jets get the ball. They start the game off. They go 9 plays, 75 yards, get 5 first downs, they get the lead. And then even though they weren't able to stop the Bears, the Bears came out with a nice drive. They had a field goal, then they get a touchdown. They kind of got back into a rhythm again offensively. They lost ball and downs, but they actually looked like an effective offense. They had balance. And this kid made throws in bad weather. You could just feel a rhythm to what they were doing offensively. Now, they got to go up to Minnesota and play. That'll be a hard place to play. I mean, their defense is good, so they can play on the road. Their offensive line still is going to be a problem. When they go on the road, it's still going to be an issue. But I think they have what Washington has, and I think they have this kind of sense of, okay, we believe in this guy. Let's go. He's going to make his mistakes. He's not going to throw a perfect game, but at least he gives us a chance to execute an offense.
Okay, well, let's hear from, remember, last week we sat here on Monday and we played the Wilson cut where he defiantly said, no, he didn't hurt the defense, and obviously that cut got him benched. Here's Mike White. Let's see if there's a difference in energy here.
I think personally the way I approach the quarterback position is being a calming presence in the huddle, especially when things aren't going well, because that's when things can start to spiral and snowball. But it's just distributing the ball and letting them be who they are. They're all in that locker room for a reason. This is the NFL. Everybody in that wears pads on Sundays are very good, and you just got to get them the ball and get their confidence going. And once someone's confidence is up, I believe at least that you'll see their game go.
It's not about piling on Zach Wilson. He's a young man, and he'll maybe get another opportunity. I don't think it's going to be with the Jets, but there's a difference in person. There's a difference in personality there.
Yeah, you can see, it's like, when you go into a locker room, or I don't go into the locker rooms when I was in the league, but when you go into the team, when you go in the meal room or hang around the team, you want your quarterback to kind of be around the players and have kind of a connectivity to them. You could see it with Garoppolo. You could see it with Heineke. You can feel that, right? And if you don't have that, your team's personality doesn't generate through the quarterback. It's very challenging. So, this really helps the Jets. I give Salah credit. He made the decision he had to make. The one thing Zach Wilson did with last Monday's press conference is he forced his hand.
He forced his hand.
He had no choice.
That's exactly what he did. You know what I do have a question for you? Because this is actually quite interesting. So Heineke in Washington, a 1913 winner there. You saw the play. Deron Payne tipped the ball. That was going to be a touchdown and a winner for Atlanta.
Wide
but
open.
I digress. 1-4 start through the first 5. Washington was 1-4. They've won 6 of 7. They're 7-5, and they're the 7 seed now. Heineke hasn't played well, yet there is a galvanization to his presence. It's a very odd situation because they're running the ball great. Robinson Jr. starting to run the ball well. Could this team be better with Wentz the way they're playing defensively and the way they're running the football now?
I don't think so. I think, to me, the team believes in the quarterback. I think defensively they played really well. Now, for all the conversations that we have, they're 6-1 over the last 7 games, and they've cut way back on their turnovers. Right? They've cut way back on the turnovers, and they've done a good job of turning the ball over, and they've played better situational football. They're the 4th best team on third down. Their red zone defense dropped after yesterday, but they were 13th in the league in red zone defense going in this weekend. I don't think so. I think that personality has infused the defense, and it has created. Now, Heineke's got to do a better job protecting the ball. We say this all the time. He's going to throw interceptions over the middle of the field. He can't see. He's going to do it, And they were able to overcome that. And they got look. They lost the Tennessee game to go 1-4 when Wentz is throwing for a touchdown, and they lose that game. This is a game they win when Mariota's throwing for a touchdown and has the guy, and they tipped it. Those are the hard throws to make in the red zone. There's always hands up. It's challenging when you throw the ball in the middle of the red zone. Somebody gets their hands on it. You got to make a play. Remember this: when you're talking about a red zone throw at the goal line, you want it to be low, where it either hits the ground or low, and at the back line, you want it to be high. When you throw it over the middle of the field high, it's going to it has a chance to get tipped.
Heineke, that pick at the end of the first half was terrible. He's always going to throw that 50-50 YOLO ball that's going to get picked. But you mentioned there is a spark. The defense, Michael, isn't the 49ers. It's not the Cowboys, but they're starting to get good, man. Over their last 7, they're giving up right around 15 points per. And that front, once Chase Young comes back, you love Sweat, but those Alabama boys. I mean, Payne and Allen in the middle are just monsters. I mean, it's a good defense.
Look, they haven't given up. They won that Monday night. It was a Thursday night against the Bears. But really, when you go back, only the Eagles in the second quarter moved the ball. The Eagles in Jacksonville in the first 2 of the 3 games had 24 first downs and 21. They've done a good job of limiting explosive plays. Yesterday, they couldn't stop the run. I kind of think Atlanta might be the best team in the South. I know they're not any good, but Atlanta found a way to run the ball. I said this on the podcast. What I don't think people understand is a really good coach knows how to run the ball. They spend time designing the run. Walsh used to say this all the time. Every coach thinks he wants to draw pass patterns. How do I get a guy open? But coaches that know how to run the ball consistently through the game are the best coaches. And I think Arthur Smith does that as well as anybody. He ran for, yesterday he ran for 160. They only threw for 165. He's sitting there at the end of the game, and trust me, I know they're not very good. But they're right there at the end. They're 5-7. They got Pittsburgh this week at home. Then they got a bye.
The mix. Absolutely.
They're in the mix.
Absolutely. By the way, the irony of Smith completely committing to the run all year, and then the turnover was off a pass when he was chunking. Yeah. There was no reason to go past there. Although they had the open, it's just a great play by Payne. It was wide open. Tipping the ball. So but they're in the mix. Listen, if you're Arthur Smith, you get on the plane, you're like, we're in an awesome position. Tampa Bay just lost their 5-6. Yeah. We're 5-7. This is our division to take.
They're like the Giants. They look around the plane and say, we're not any good, but we're right here. Like the difference between Atlanta and the Giants is so small, right? There's just 1 or 2 plays.
Yep. They call it being fortuitous. And to give Atlanta some credit, nobody expected them to be 5-7, so they completely overexceeded expectations. Nobody. Okay, when we come back, Thomas Gable, you saw he won that big bet somebody placed on the Packers catching 6.5.
You called it, too. Give yourself credit. You called that.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.